that you're upholding standards that you don't actually live by.
You know, and that's a fair complaint. I wish I was, but you know, we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, but I just don't think it's fair that you get to be here and you get to be paid for your views, and you're telling other women that they shouldn't be allowed to.
I think what is the
hang on. Okay, if I may, at some stage jump in. Isn't the whole point of being a feminist, though, that women are entitled to have their own views?
Absolutely. And
so she's perfectly entitled to her views.
Yeah, but you can't.
She's allowed to have her own views. Yeah, no one's saying she shouldn't have her own views. The difference is she's the feminist saying, these are your views you hold, but I think they're wrong and here's why. The Pearl girl is saying, I'm not a feminist. I don't just disagree with your views. I think literal policy should be put in place to hinder women's ability to navigate this country as freely as men. And when you're advocating for that, you're no longer advocating for, well, all women just kind of have their own opinions, you know? Because we're past the point of opinion. Now we're talking about dumb bimbo like Pearl advocating for actual policy changes to oppress women. For real though, everybody I know is here to watch the exciting Just Pearly Things, aka female Andrew Tate, face off against Piers Morgan. Now, for those of you who don't know, Piers Morgan is a very famous UK talk show host. But anyway, he had the female Andrew Tate, Just Pearly Things, Pearl Davis, on the show, live and in person, to explain why she thinks women shouldn't vote. Just Pearly Things is once again another one of those dumb fuck red pill chicks who is up here arguing that women shouldn't vote because women are chemically different every day, quote unquote, which is not true. It has been empirically debunked, okay? That is not true. Even more so, she's very dumb herself. And so she's doing that like, because I'm a dumb fuck bimbo woman, therefore I speak for all women and they're all dumb fuck bimbos now. She does that a lot too. She'll be like, well, I'm different every day. It's like, okay, then maybe you're a dumb fuck, but you don't speak for all women. So let's go ahead and watch this this epic showdown.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Pearl Davis has racked up a legion of online followers and plenty of breathless newspaper coverage by sharing her incendiary views on modern feminism. The New York Post called her the female Andrew Tate. So she tapped into genuine female pushback to the excesses of wokery, or is she just an attention seeker? We'll find out in a moment. But first,
she is definitely more of an attention seeker than anything else. Hands fucking down. Nobody is so obsessed with just shamelessly crapping on women for the sake of clicks than Just Pearly Things.
Take a look at the clip that sent her viral.
A lot of people think I'm insane because I don't think women should vote. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for this opinion. If anything, this...
Yeah, because you are crazy for this opinion. You're literally saying that women, on the basis of them being women, should not be given the same constitutional rights as men.
This is probably my most extreme opinion. 90% of women have been on birth control. 1 out of 3 women has had an abortion. 1 out of 3 women...
Being on birth control or having an abortion has absolutely no relevance as to whether or not you are prepared to vote or responsible enough to vote. What? You realize that taking birth control is a form of responsibility? If you don't want people to have abortions, if you're bringing up the fact that 1 out of 3 women have had abortions or whatever, you can't start by shitting on birth control, you fucking numbskull, because it's the birth control that lowers the abortion rates.
Women has an STD. Average body count is over 5, so that your average wife has slept with over 5 people.
Oh no. God forbid women have sexual autonomy. Oh.
95% of women are not virgins on their wedding days.
Yeah, guys, so listen, if from now on, okay, if you're no longer a virgin, that has discredited you from voting. Yeah, how are we going to do that one? Are we going to go back to the biblical times? The fathers can take their daughters to the priest who will then check their hymen, make sure it's all intact, make sure they're actually still virgins. Then they've earned their constitutional rights to participate in our democratic republic. Is that it?
So I understand the complaint.
Okay. Well,
that was easily one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. And that's a doozy considering Pearl has an entire brand revolving around saying the dumbest shit ever.
Okay, well, Pearl joins me now alongside political journalist Ava Santini, who was nodding furiously along there to everything she heard. Right, Pearl, you've be called the female Andrew Tate. How do you plead?
Well, I take it as a compliment. You know, I'm a fan of Andrew Tate.
Of everything he says?
It depends what we're talking about, but overall, I think he's got a good message. I think he's good for young men.
Okay, look, you're talking about women predominantly, which is why you've got this big following. And your view is that modern feminism is deeply flawed. I would argue a lot of your proposals, like taking the vote away from women, are deeply regressive. Why would you want to remove, just from yourself, the right to vote?
Well, what happened was I had the same view, right? Back when I started, I was like, why? I found out that only 5% of women wanted the right to vote. And I couldn't figure out, like, why would women not? No, it's true.
So first and foremost, she's correct and incorrect. One, it's partially skewed numbers because a big reason that a large percentage of women at the time didn't want to vote was actually because there was a lot of misinformation going around that was wrongly saying that if women earned the right to vote, they would also have to sign up for the draft and could get sent off to war. So when they are being told, oh, well, if you want the right to vote, you're also then going to get drafted and might get sent off to war, just like all the men, then yeah, a good proportion of the women at the time who had children did not want that right because they thought that right carried with it severe baggage. But anti-feminists at the time spread that lie to further try and discourage women from wanting the right to vote. So that's the first thing that is completely, that nuance is completely missed on her, of course, because she's a fucking dumbass. The second thing is, even if that number was accurate, even if you could show that no women wanted the right to vote, I actually don't care. Because whether or not you are afforded certain rights according to the Constitution, no joke, is irrelevant as to whether or not you want those rights or not. Believe it or not, yeah. Just like there were a lot of people that didn't want black people to have rights, and I don't care. I don't care if there are some women that don't want the right to vote, then stay home and don't vote on voting day. But the Constitution says that if you are a citizen of this country, you have the right to vote past a certain age so that you can participate in this country's democracy. So saying that women shouldn't have that because at the time women were lied to, so a large percentage of women didn't really want that right to begin with, is a dishonest form of argumentation. So even if 0% of women at the time wanted the right to vote, I don't actually give a shit because we don't give or take rights based on who wants them. We give or take rights based on, well, primarily we wouldn't really take away rights. But no, we try and grant rights according to the consistency within the Constitution.
True. It's true.
At the time.
At the time.
Because they've been conditioned by men to think that they shouldn't have a vote.
I mean, that's what they
this
said.
This is a dumb way. Come on, Piers. They've been conditioned by men. Do you see how easy, how like any red pillar just hears, oh, they're blaming men again?
Found out was that the reason a lot of women advocated for it was because they believed it was the beginning of the breakdown of the family. You know, before you became one in marriage, 85% of people were married. And, I hate to say it, but they were right. What has happened 100 years later?
But what's that got to do with them having the vote?
Yeah, well, what does them having the right to vote have to do with destroying the family? What happened is divorce has become more and more common, and we've gotten rid of that stigma for good reason. And now women have, again, more autonomy and freedom. When you bring up these stats, 85% of people at the time were married. I can tell you right now, do I want to be married to somebody because A, they love me and want to be with me and respect me and want to spend their life with me? Or B, do I want to be married to somebody because she literally could not function if she even dared consider leaving me? She wouldn't even be able to survive on her own without me. That's not a healthy marriage if you care about actual families. If you actually care about the positives of the nuclear family, being held hostage in a fucking marriage because your drunk, abusive husband is the only way you can survive financially, that's not a great marriage. That's not a great environment. So just looking at the numbers, more people were married, herder. Okay, well, how happy were the marriages? It's such a boring argument right off the bat.
Well, it also goes back to...
So yeah, let's find out now, how is women having the right to vote had any negative effect on the family unit?
What has happened 100 years later?
What's that got to do with them having the vote?
Well, it also goes back to responsibility. Again, men are 80 to 90% of the military. They run all of the infrastructures that make society.
Because of women, we have functioning humanity that continues and our population continues. Because of women, we have people immensely contributing to the economy. Because, what? there are obviously more men working infrastructure and whatnot, but working infrastructure is not the only type of responsibility necessary to participate to vote. The thing is also, so here's the big problem that she has with this is she's saying responsibility. What that is going to come down to inevitably is the richer people get the right to vote, because that obviously means they have more responsibility, right? Because they're working harder. Now what happens is you get more and more of these rich, responsible people, and only they have the right to vote. And you know what? Soon enough, everybody else in the country is going to get shafted, except for the group that has the power to sway the politics. Of course. So even if you're saying like, oh, what about like the homeless bum who does nothing, has no responsibility, contributes nothing? Because without allowing everybody to participate in the voting process, you risk giving way too much power to groups that do not deserve that much power, that will abuse that much power, and it's diametrically opposed to the Constitution to give just those groups that much power. So you have nothing. You have nothing. Just Lonely Things is a degenerate, subhuman piece of trash, and she'd be far better taking her own advice, log off the internet, go back to the kitchen, and go and deep throat your husband's cock just so you have something in your mouth to shut you the fuck up.
90% of the military, they run all of the infrastructures that make society run. So I just think if we want an equal say in society, then
Society runs because of the economy, and women are massive contributors to the economy. She tries to shit on women for shopping more than men, but women contributing to the economy keep society functioning and running.
equal. Do 50% of the hard jobs. Be 50% of the military. In the U.S.,
You don't even want women in the military because they're too weak.
$250,000 if they don't join selective service, which is essentially the draft.
Okay, but specifically on the vote.
This is a bullshit thing. This is if you don't put your name down, you might get fined. There hasn't been a draft in what, like 80 years? And it's incredibly unlikely because of how many troops we have in the reserves now.
What would having the right to vote have to do with family cohesion, for example?
Well, because again, before you weren't trying to divide a family. It was one family unit. You had one vote for
How is it dividing a family to have? Oh, because one vote, right?
Family. I mean, I don't think I had a family. It was one family unit. You had one vote for the family. I mean, I don't think it's good for a family to have two votes.
What? So then the man can go and vote for, I want to make sure I keep domestic abuse a private thing, you know? I don't want the fucking federal government involved in that. That's an overstepping of the government. I'm going to vote to keep this on a state-by-state basis so I can stay nice and cushy in my state where I can slap the fuck out of my bitch whenever I feel like it without getting in trouble. So in your world, that's that, Pearl. What about the woman? Maybe the woman would want to go out and vote for something that might benefit her specifically. This is such a forehead perspective. Someone in chat's asking, why do I get angry? Because it's impossible to not get angry when watching somebody this insufferably stupid.
Ava, your mouth seems to have dropped about.
No, do you know when it's sort of like,
I know.
it's just sort of a bit galaxy brain. I feel like
Bring me on, dude. Don't bring on like the offended, triggered feminist. Bring me on. I will turn Pearl into the triggered, offended feminist.
Your mouth seems to have dropped about.
No, do you know when it's sort of like,
I know.
it's just sort of a bit galaxy brain. I feel like, the stats that you're putting down are perhaps correct in some universe.
Which stats?
They just kind of don't really add up. I mean, just to take you back to the to the women's writings that you've allegedly read. I mean, at
allegedly?
The time, well, at
What
the
do you
time
mean allegedly?
At the time that you're talking about, women weren't really allowed to write. They weren't allowed to go to school.
Yes, they were.
Write.
Yes, they
So
were. That's
actually,
incorrect. The first.
Wait, what? No, women were not at all able to go to school or pursue education to the same degree. Women didn't even have the right to go to college until what? Wasn't it like the late 20s?
Female
year are we
property. The
talking
first
about?
female property owner was in the 1600s. The idea that women couldn't.
What? America wasn't around then. What? Did she just say that? 1776, dude. She just said, well, the first female fucking property owner within the 1600s. We're talking about American women. Oh my god, dude. I'm actually getting fucking offended right now. I gotta go take a sip of my soy latte. Motherfucker. Guys, you know, America was founded in 1776, but did you know at the beginning of time, Eve had the right to choose to eat the fruit? So, like, where were women oppressed? Checkmate, feminists. Fuck me. God. Where's my fucking sword? 1907 is the first English colony in the early 1600s. We're talking about American feminism, dude. American feminism, which began with women's advocacy for their right to vote. This is American shit. Bringing up that one fucking woman owned property hundreds of years prior to America's founding is irrelevant to the argument. Like, goddamn. That's like saying, you know, there's never been a female president in America. Well, did you know that in 1503 there was actually a female queen? It's like, okay, that has nothing to do with what I just said.
Work and couldn't.
I'm so sorry, but that would be inherited property.
The first female millionaire was in the late 1800s.
And was that inherited?
No, it wasn't. It was self-made. She was in the late.
That would be inherited property.
The first female millionaire was in the late 1800s.
And was that inherited?
No, it wasn't. It was self-made.
Yes, it was.
Self-made. Yes, it was.
First female millionaire. Okay, so this is what she's talking about. 1867. She made hair straightening products?
It wasn't. It was self-made. Yes, it was.
Self-made.
Yes, it was.
Yes, so I'm glad we looked this up because Pearl is correct. The problem is, again, because I don't know why they always bring people on who are not equipped to challenge these red pill people, is even if there were some women who were successful at the time, doesn't mean that that applied for all women, because women were, yes, uniquely disadvantaged at the time.
Yes, she did not
inherit it. What law permitted that? What law permitted that?
Well, there was no law. I mean, there's always been women that were influential in history.
Let's get on to the vote. So what I don't understand is, you know, a part of your message, I've researched you today, and hang on a minute.
Okay.
You know, your big push is that you care about men and you don't think that men are getting enough of a say. But hang on, I haven't made the point yet. Because of feminism, okay? What I wonder is when you start making calls out like repeal the 19th, women shouldn't be allowed to vote. How is that helping young men? Because these young men have women in their lives, they have mothers, they have sisters, they have teachers, and they turn around, they don't know how to act around women because you're giving them license to be misogynistic.
I wouldn't call it misogynistic.
Let's get some wins in chat, please. Solid argument there from that girl, from the feminist lady. Finally. Now, granted, if I were there, I would be like 5 times meaner to Pearl. I would have cut her off 80 times. I would not have let her weasel away of everything. And I would have also probably called her like a subhuman degenerate at least 4 times at that point. But hey, granted, at least she gave one good argument here. So let's get some wins. Whoop, whoop.
I say be equal. So again, men do all of the
feminists are
well,
saying.
then okay, I'd love for the feminists, please apply for the oil rigs. Please go do the hard jobs in society.
Why don't women want to go do the hard stuff? Yes, because as you all know, us men, we wake up with our masculine testosterone biological drive to go work on an oil rig. Urgh. The man in me, it's gotta just go and do a bunch of hard, long jobs.
They're hiring because I don't think men or women are equal until we do the equal work. So listen.
There's a difference between being equal as in like you're equal human beings with equal thoughts, feelings, and sentience and autonomy versus you are the exact identical in societal positions. Of course, there's going to be a difference there.
Go apply to be on the oil rigs. Go be a plumber. Go be an electrician. Go be on the front lines of the military. And then we should.
You don't want women in the military. You would say women don't belong in the front lines of the military because they're too weak. If I'm not even mistaken, you've directly made that argument.
Equal rights, but until feminists are willing to do that, I don't believe we should have the freedom without the responsibility.
Okay, well, I don't think that I'm physically built for that.
You're advocating right now to take women's representation away, but still have them paying tax.
I don't believe we should have the freedom without the responsibility.
Okay, well, I don't think that I'm physically built for that. You might be, but I'm absolutely not. You said you were a volleyball.
Wow.
You said you were a volleyball player, and so you've got more strength than I do. I don't think
but
that
I can do those jobs. I don't have more strength than the average man.
I'm not going to take your right away to do it.
I don't have more strength than the average man, but again, it goes back to go be a plumber. You want to be equal, go be equal.
You also, but you don't want.
Well, then maybe if men want to be equal, they should go be some stay at home with the kids more often. Let's see how the dads like it when they have to get up 4 times every night to deal with a newborn baby, to breastfeed that baby. Like, we can get all selective about different challenging jobs that help keep society functioning that both men and women do, which is another big problem that Pearl is running into, is there's a way for her to give these fucking arguments and not make them so dumb. She could say something like, hey, you know what? Let's be real, man. Men take up a lot of tough jobs, partially because, yeah, males on average have testosterone. They're going to be stronger, so they're going to be a little bit more physically built for some of these harder physical labor jobs. But all the same, these jobs are very difficult, they're very exhausting, and they contribute immensely to the continuation of society. So let us be thankful that men are contributing to those fields, because that's really nice. Why not just go there? Why does it need to be like, but then when women feel that they can actually, literally fucking metamorphosize some balls and actually get on an oil rig, then maybe we can talk about why they should actually be able to vote. Why not just, hey, women also do really challenging things? I mean, you talk about how unique it is that women are mothers, and that's one of their big, unique qualities. That's also something incredibly difficult, incredibly exhausting, incredibly emotionally taxing, okay? And women have to deal with that way more. But I'm not going to get up here and say, okay, men, well, when you want the right to vote, let's see you push a baby out of your penis hole. Huh? Like, come on. It's so fucking stupid. It's such an easy argument. And what makes this all the more difficult is she's making it a dichotomy. She's flipping it into this divisive men versus women thing. It's not a men versus women thing. It's, hey, men contribute uniquely to society. Thank you, men. Women contribute uniquely to society. Thank you, women. The end. Done.
Divorce to be made illegal?
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because I don't think what we have today is really marriage. What is marriage? It's for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. That's what marriage is supposed to be. But feminists have ruined marriage for the people that actually believe in marriage.
How?
When there's a 50% divorce rate.
And you advocate for women, or you advocate specifically for men to act more like Andrew Tate and suppress more emotion, yet women initiate more divorce because women don't have their emotional needs met nearly to the same extent. And so that can be a huge deal breaker in a marriage. The other thing is, and props to Destiny, because he originally did make this point, but I thought it was an excellent one, is these red pill people always view divorce as intrinsically negative. Sometimes it's not a negative. Sometimes it's better even for the kids to have their parents separate, because if the parents aren't compatible and aren't getting along and are constantly fighting, that's not a good environment for children either. Like, that also is not what marriage is supposed to be.
Average marriage.
Why is that all down to the women, though?
I didn't say that it was all down to the women.
So why feminists?
You asked why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah.
Can I finish that first? So I'm saying, the people that believe in divorce, go be in long-term relationships. Leave marriage for the people that actually believe in for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health.
Yeah, but how worse? How much worse are we talking here? Because when you say for better or for worse, something tells me you're going to be like, well, worse could also include getting fucking sodomized with a baseball bat every single night by your husband. But you know what, bitch? You signed up for marriage. Better or for worse, don't even think about divorcing, you hoe.
Health till death do us part.
But doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin? So you wouldn't be able to get married?
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly about how you're not a virgin, and so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage, then
Yes, get her. Yeah.
I think that you're upholding standards that you don't actually live by.
And that's a fair complaint. I wish I was. But, we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, but I just don't think...
Listen to her, dude. Holy shit. She's coping well, we can't go back now. Okay, then why are you all trying to go back with everything else policy-wise for women? Oh man.
Yeah, that you're upholding standards that you don't actually live by.
And that's a fair complaint. I wish I was. But, we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah, but I just don't think it's fair that you get to be here and you get to be paid for your views, and you're telling other women that they shouldn't be allowed to.
I think
hang on. Okay, if I may, at some stage jump in. Isn't the whole point of being a feminist, though, that women are entitled to have their own views?
Absolutely.
So she's perfectly entitled to her views.
Yeah, but you can't...
She's allowed to have her own views. Yeah, no one's saying she shouldn't have her own views. The difference is she's the feminist saying, these are your views you hold, but I think they're wrong and here's why. The Pearl girl is saying, I'm not a feminist. I don't just disagree with your views. I think literal policy should be put in place to hinder women's ability to navigate this country as freely as men. And when you're advocating for that, you're no longer advocating for, well, all women just kind of have their own opinions, you know? Because we're past the point of opinion. Now we're talking about dumb fuck bimbo bitches like Pearl advocating for actual policy changes to oppress women.
Not like them.
But I'm here to challenge
Isn't she
them.
exercising her right as a... Are you a feminist?
No, I am not.
Really?
No, I wouldn't. Don't go that far.
You don't want to be a feminist?
No, because I think if feminists really believed in equality, but you guys don't, I would love for
Here we go. Why don't you guys ever consider working in the mines, huh?
There is an oil rig hiring. There is an engineer.
She actually did it. Wait, did she just bring up engineering? You know there's a huge problem with women and the way they're socialized and not going into engineering fields, right?
Love for you. There is an oil rig hiring. There is an engineering.
I would actually love to see Ava Santana on an oil rig.
No, seriously. There is a building being built next to my building. Go do it, feminists.
What? First of all, the engineering thing. Feminists consistently advocate against certain socialization that oftentimes leads to women being far less likely to pursue careers in STEM, in engineering specifically as well. Even though when STEM began as an industry, women were massive contributors to that. But as social expectations changed, then women started pursuing those careers less and less as those fields began to be perceived as more and more masculine, a place for just the men. So, first of all, she's shooting herself in the foot there by bringing up that shit.
Then go do it, feminists. Go do it. And me, I'm
doing the same job that I'm doing right now.
When you find the man you want to get married to, are you saying you will be with that man whatever happens the rest of your life?
Yes, for the vows that we're supposed to live by.
How do you know you can keep them?
I mean, I think it's a choice.
It would be fine if you weren't so aggressive. Okay, you're timed out for the rest of the stream. Goodbye. That way I'm not offending you with my aggression as I get very hostile towards people that advocate to oppress women. My bad. Next time I'll try to be a lot more chill and calm, okay?
And that's
next time I'll do ASMR, okay? Now here we have a really stupid subhuman piece of shit. She's also a super dumb fuck bimbo named Pearl. And today we're going to talk about why she should just shut the fuck up forever.
I mean, look at us that we're supposed to live by.
How do you know you can keep them?
I mean, I think it's a choice. And that's the thing, women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children. And the problem is...
And if you live in a marriage your entire life where you are actually not happy to the point that you're just straight up fucking miserable, you're no longer caring for the children because that actually leads to psychological harms on the children as well. This is the problem is she's picturing it as if there's this perfect dichotomy between do I just run off and go and live my life however I want because I'm so selfish? Or do I just stick here and give my children the best life ever? She doesn't understand that if you force yourself to stay in a marriage long term in which you are truly unhappy and miserable, that's not a good place for the children to be either.
We have a modern society where it's me, my feelings, leave when I feel like it, instead of doing what's best for the kid.
No, it's not just me. There is a healthy balance, though. There is a way to be selfish. There is a way to just be a dipshit deadbeat dad or a deadbeat mom who just wants to run off and dip on their family because they'd rather go to Vegas and hit up the strip clubs or something. I get it. That is a thing, but you can't just say because that's the thing, anytime anyone gets a divorce, it's selfish and divorce should be outlawed.
I think that if a woman is going to look after her children in divorce, that's absolutely fine. I also believe in your right to speak your mind about it. What I don't understand...
I'd like to say, even before the 1920s,
do you know what I mean?
Women could speak openly. This idea that, women couldn't talk the last 500 years. There have been women throughout history...
the American state education system has failed before, and it's failing now.
There have been women throughout history that have read, written, and been very influential in society.
Yeah, and how many of those women that were super influential had to use male names or else they wouldn't be published? Have you done any fucking basic history? Have you read any basic history? Guys, women were really influential at the time. They just had to publish all of their writings under male names or else they wouldn't have been taken seriously, respected, or even published at all. It's just, what? Man. How is somebody this stupid actually functioning in society?
Okay.
So this idea like women could never do it.
Do you know what I don't understand though is when it gets spiteful, okay? Because you put down a few arguments that I think are perfectly, like, you know, they're kind of evangelical and they're Christian, but those are your right to say it. What I don't understand is when it kind of seeps into this sort of, you call women fat, you say that they shouldn't have abortions, you say that they have STDs.
Like, some women are fat. But if she's able to say that women are fat, then I should be able to say that she's stupid.
You know,
I mean, the question is, are they fat? Yes or no? The average American woman is 170 pounds. That's objectively overweight.
I mean, let's be honest. We now celebrate morbid obesity as some kind of body positive thing, and it is complete nonsense.
Here we go with that too. Now, here we go. Leave it to Piers to like harp in some more just like right-wing nonsense. We now glorify obesity. Nowadays, listen, okay, if you want to be a real liberal, you need to have at least 5 donuts in the morning every fucking morning. And if you don't develop diabetes by the end of the week, then you're not a good liberal.
Actually, on that point again, there's a bit of truth in
that. And this is the problem.
How have we come to celebrate morbid obesity as body positive?
Well,
it's nonsense.
We're not talking about morbid obesity. I was actually watching your podcast earlier, and you spoke to someone who was, I would say, probably a size 12, and you called her fat, obese, and a divorcee.
She was fat, obese, and a divorcee.
I
mean, like, I don't know what to say. This is the thing, women.
But you just said 170 pounds is objectively overweight, but now you're bringing up this girl. It sounds like she just brought somebody up who was not that overweight that you were still calling overweight.
Want to live in reality. We don't want to say things that are true. Was she fat? Yes. Was she a divorcee? Yes. These things are just objective facts.
Yeah, but you're not just saying you're divorced. You're saying because you're fat and divorced, therefore your opinion is being disregarded.
Okay, I'm going to have to objectively...
And she insulted me first. They always do.
I'm going to have to objectively end the debate, but it was an interesting conversation. I think we should get you two back together as a matter of urgency. Thank you very much, Pearl. Thank you, Ava.
Well, there you guys have it. That is Just Pearly Things saying that because women take birth control, that somehow means that they shouldn't have the right to vote. Somehow, that apparently is a opinion that is seen as not only being worthy of respect by millions of people who subscribe to this dumb fuck, but apparently it's even seen as a valuable enough opinion to platform right here on Piers Morgan. And then unfortunately, they always do this where they bring the person to oppose the right-wing person, but then the person that opposes the right-wing person or the red pill person or whatever is just a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. I like the other girl they had on there. I think she was nice. I think she was sweet. I think she meant well. She had like one good argument, but no, Pearl needs to be like manhandled with aggressive rhetoric. That is the way in which Pearl will actually be put in her fucking place. And until somebody approaches her that way, she's going to keep on doing the smug thing and whatnot. So until I get lucky enough to debate her, we're probably going to see a lot more of this type of cringy nonsense from Just Pearly Things. But there you guys have it. Just Lonely Things has struck again.